What's the silliest thing you've seen someone try to take through airport security? So, I was standing in line at airport security a few years back when I saw something that made me do a double take. There was this guy, looking relaxed and casual, trying to bring a full-size, inflatable pool toy through the X-ray machine. The security officer cocked his eyebrow and asked, "Sir, what do you have here?" The guy didn't hesitate and said, "It's my emotional support alligator." The officer chuckled. "Emotional support alligator, huh?" He replied with a shake of his head. "I'm going to have to check this out." So, they deflated the alligator right there in line, and let me tell you, it was quite an event. People were laughing and taking pictures. He just stood there with a proud grin like he had done something so delicate. Finally, the officer returned it to him and said, "Sorry, you'll have to leave your emotional support alligator." He shrugged his shoulders and said, "No problem, I've got a backup emotional support crocodile in my checked baggage." We all laughed at that, and somehow, the stress of airport security was relieved for a moment. A moment like that gets forever stuck in your brain. One of those incredible moments when something ridiculous can happen that brings a smile to your face. Now, this got me thinking about all the other ridiculous things people must have tried to take through airport security over the years. I mean, there are probably thousands of stories out there, each more absurd than the last. I remember reading about a guy who tried to bring a full set of cutlery on board because he didn't trust the plastic stuff the airlines provide. He was adamant about having a proper knife and fork to enjoy his meal at 30,000 feet. Can you imagine the look on the security officer's face when they saw that on the X-ray? Then there's the story of a woman who tried to smuggle her pet turtle through security in a plastic container hidden in her carry-on bag. When the security officer asked her to open her bag, she acted all surprised, like she had no idea how the turtle got in there. "Oh, Mr. Turtley must have sneaked in when I wasn't looking," she exclaimed, as if a turtle could stealthily climb into a zipped-up bag without anyone noticing. And let's not forget the guy who tried to bring a snow globe filled with sand from a tropical beach. He was so determined to keep his souvenir intact that he argued with the security officers for nearly half an hour, insisting that the sand was harmless. Eventually, they let him through, but not before giving him a stern lecture on why liquids aren't allowed through security, no matter how sentimental they might be. There was another incident where a man tried to bring a live lobster through security. He had it in a clear plastic bag filled with water, tucked inside a cooler. The officers were baffled and asked him why he was traveling with a live lobster. His response? "It's dinner for my cousin's wedding reception." They had to check with their superiors to see if it was even allowed, and after much deliberation, they let him keep the lobster, provided it stayed in the cooler and didn't cause any trouble. These stories are just the tip of the iceberg. I bet airport security officers have seen it all, from the mundane to the utterly bizarre. I once read about a guy who tried to bring a full-sized Christmas tree through security during the holiday season. He was convinced it would fit in the overhead compartment if he just bent the branches a little. The officers had to explain that, no, a 7-foot-tall tree was not going to fit on the plane, no matter how much he trimmed it down. And who could forget the man who tried to carry on a giant wheel of cheese? He claimed it was a gift for his grandmother and didn't want to risk it getting damaged in checked baggage. The officers were more amused than anything, but they still had to confiscate the cheese, much to the man's dismay. He ended up having to buy another one when he reached his destination. Of course, not all ridiculous items are food-related. There was the woman who tried to bring a life-sized cardboard cutout of her favorite celebrity through security. She said it was for a friend's birthday party, and she couldn't bear to leave it behind. The security officers had a good laugh over that one, but ultimately made her check it with her other luggage. And let's not overlook the guy who brought a bag full of novelty-sized pencils. These things were nearly as tall as he was, and he argued that they were just souvenirs from a recent trip. The officers had to confiscate them because they could be used as weapons, but they did let him keep one as a memento. Reflecting on these stories, it's clear that people will try to bring just about anything through airport security. Some do it out of ignorance, some out of stubbornness, and some just for the sheer thrill of seeing if they can get away with it. Whatever the reason, it certainly makes for some entertaining tales. So, Next time you're standing in line at airport security, take a look around. You never know what kind of absurd items you might see people trying to bring through. And if you're ever tempted to bring something unusual yourself, just remember, airport security has seen it all, and they're probably not going to let you keep that inflatable alligator, no matter how much you insist it's for emotional support.